This is Make It Plain, MIP, with Matimela Mafumo, Mark Thompson. Get woke.
It's that time of morning again when we talk with our dreamer of the day. Joining us now from Boston, I believe, Pierre Berastaín. Pierre, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Hi, Mark. Good morning. That is pretty good.
Well, tell me the right way to say it, though.
Sure. It's Berastaín.
Berastaín. Okay. All right. Is that better? Berastaín. Okay. I think I got it. Pierre, I want to start this way because you've got a video on your Facebook page. Were you all at Speaker Ryan's office demanding the DACA not be repealed recently?
I was, yes.
Tell us about this video. It's funny.
Sure. There was it is funny and concerning at the same time, right?
Yeah.
There was a group of clergy of leaders of faith who went to Congress last week to advocate for a Clean Dream Act, to advocate for different measures around detention facilities and other immigration-related issues. And one of the activities or one of the meetings that they wanted to hold was with Speaker Ryan's office. So all the clergymen, all the leaders of faith, and a number of dreamers went and knocked on his door, and they asked to speak with the speaker or the staffer in charge of immigration, and they asked whether they could come into the offices, and they were denied entry, as you saw in the video. And then they invited the staffer to pray with remember these are leaders of faith,
right? And
they said, they repeatedly kept on saying, well, you can pray and I can stand here with you. And they said, well, will you come outside and pray with us? And at some point, one of the leaders said, well, we don't bite, or we won't hurt you.
Right.
We won't hurt you is what they said. And then they didn't. And then at some point on the video, they were praying, asking for a Clean Dream Act because it's the humanitarian, the Christian thing to do, the right thing to do. And so then they started reciting the Lord's Prayer. And then in the middle of the Lord's Prayer, then the staffer kind of shut the door. So I wrote on the video, this is a moment in which representative's office, the speaker's office, shuts the door in the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah, isn't that something? And folks, if you're watching us now, we're on Facebook.com/MakeItPlain and YouTube.com/MakeItPlain, and you can actually see the video right behind me here in our studio because I have it in our studio right now, so you can check it out right there. And of course, this is not long after Trump made his crazy announcement. Pierre, what's your story? How did you come here, and what qualified you for DACA, and what makes you a dreamer?
Boy, 3 questions in one. So I came to the United States when I was 11 years old with my family. We're from Peru originally, and my family left because of a 20-year internal armed conflict that was happening in Peru. And my parents were very worried for their safety, our safety, my sisters and mine. And they made a decision within 3 days. My father made a decision within 3 days to leave the country. And we came on our tourist visas. We didn't speak any English. I didn't speak any English. And then we overstayed. And I have this imagery from Peru, from some of the terrorist events and some of the humanitarian crisis of apagones or blackouts. And there would be this massive blackouts throughout the city or sections of the city that would leave you without light or electricity for some time. Mm-hmm. And it was quite scary. I mean, you would have to be kind of quiet in the house, and then you would hear footsteps on the rooftops. And sometimes those footsteps were just people who were trying to steal things or property from your house. And I remember I had this imagery of my mother, kind of praying with a rosary on her hand, and my dad just making jokes to try to distract us. And so then when we moved to the United States, it was almost as if we were leaving the blackouts and trading it for some type of light in a new country. And so fast forward to overstaying our visas in search of a better dream, of better days. And I, worked really hard. Went to college, got into college, went to my master's for divinity school, and it so happened that I was always worried about, what would I do afterwards? I can't work, I can't continue living in the United States, and I considered going to Canada, Europe, back to Latin America. And then President Obama in 2012 announced Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, and then I qualified for the program through my educational. I met my educational requirements. I passed a background check, quite extensive background check. I don't know if your listeners know this, but you also have to take a biometrics test. So that means the government almost has more information on me than than most American citizens.
So when you say a biometrics test, what does that include for people who don't know what that means?
Sure. It's all your fingerprints of every finger that you have. It's your entire palm, pretty much. Mm-hmm. They take a picture of you. I'm trying to recall what else was on that test. So they basically have all of your identifying information on file. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. The Pierre Berastaín with us, folks. In terms of your education, you had already gotten your master's before you became a DACA recipient?
I was in the process of obtaining my master's. Okay. And then the president announced, and that was a big relief.
What are you doing with your MDiv now? I have an MDiv too, by the way. What are you doing with your MDiv these days?
Sure. So I went to study, when I went to college and then grad school, I went to study specifically gender-based violence, violence against women and girls, and specifically around domestic violence, sexual violence, and human trafficking. So now I work for a national organization that engages in public policy work, in research, and capacity building or training to other organizations in the U.S., abroad, and to federal agencies around these issues. And we work at the intersections of gender-based violence and other issues such as immigration, for instance.
Yeah, and that's the Casa de Esperanza of the National Latino Network, correct?
That is correct. It's Casa de Esperanza.
Casa de Esperanza. Pierre, folks, is the assistant director there. So you have been helping those in the Latino community who are victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking. So you're actually, with your MDiv, that's the Lord's work too, isn't it? That you're doing.
I would hope so. I would hope the Lord would be content with what I'm doing.
So Pierre, our brother, folks, again, is an example of someone who's making a very positive contribution to our nation, our society, and to his community. He has a Master of Divinity from Harvard University. He's helping women who are victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. And we want to send him back? No, that's insane. Your parents, are your parents still with you?
They're still alive. Okay. My mother went back to Peru right before President Obama, then President Obama, announced the DACA program. And she went back because for a number of reasons, but one of the primary ones was my grandmother and my grandfather were aging, and they were ill, and they are ill. And she was concerned, and she thought, I've put both of my children through an education. I had, finished my degree at Harvard College, my bachelor's, and then I was already enrolled at Harvard for my master's. And my sister had started, her own business in Texas. And my mom felt that, my children are, as we say in Spanish, encaminados, or they're already kind of on the road. They're already going somewhere. And so I've kind of fulfilled my dream. I say my parents were the first dreamers. So she thought, I fulfilled my dream of giving them a better life. And so now it's my turn to go and fulfill another dream of seeing my parents, her parents, before they pass away.
Yeah, yeah.
And my father stayed behind.
Do you have any siblings?
Yes, I have a sister.
So did she come with you all the first time? She's here as well.
She did.
And is she a DACA recipient also?
Well, she's not a DACA recipient, but you know, I know previous guests in your show have spoken about the complicated, you know, immigration system, and we are one of those mixed status families.
Okay.
And she's in the process of obtaining her legal status.
Okay, so she's going through that process now. When would you, Pierre Berastaín with us, when would you have to resubmit or reapply to renew your DACA, Pierre? Yeah,
well, based on this kind of decision by the president to terminate DACA, I am not eligible to renew my DACA.
Okay.
It would have come out for renewal in February 2019. So that buys me about a year, a little under a year and a half to figure out what I would do if Congress fails to pass the DREAM Act.
And how's this affecting your daily work and your daily vocation, the uncertainty around your status? How's that impacting you?
Sure. You know, I've written about this on my Huffington Post articles, and I have a lot of trouble sleeping, and it's kind of, I remember these nights in college and graduate school where I would just stay awake in the middle of the night or wake up with nightmares. Several weeks ago, I woke up from a nightmare of ICE agents coming to a restaurant and arresting me, and me kind of just running, you know, away from them, and, you know, meeting my father in the streets. And my dad says, you know, they've taken your sister, you need to go into hiding. And then he, you know, follow me. And so we are running.
Oh, we lost it.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we lost Pierre. We'll try to get him back. Modern technology, 866-99 series, 866-997-4748. Must have been a bad connection. If you're watching us on Facebook or on YouTube, you see the Pierre and them at the office of Speaker Paul Ryan and speaking with a staffer, and then they go into prayer, and it's really a very awkward exchange. Very interesting. Pierre, we have you back?
Yes, you have me back. I'm sorry about that. I don't know which part I dropped.
Yeah, well, you were telling us about the dream, I believe, and the ICE agents and your father.
Yeah, and so my father comes and he says, you know, they've taken your sister. You need to go into hiding. And so we were running away, and then I managed to go into hiding, and then they catch me anyway. And I literally wake up from that nightmare by sitting up on my bed and hyperventilating. So now it makes it, you know, those kind of nightmares makes it quite difficult to wake up, to go to sleep, to even fall asleep.
Right.
And that affects my daily life. I know some DACA recipients who are incredibly depressed, who have thought about committing suicide because of the president's decision. So when we're talking about what deals we're going to make with the DREAM Act, when we're talking about, you know, we need to do this over several months or whatnot, when I hear lawmakers talk about that, the first thing that comes to mind is we are dealing here, literally speaking, with people's lives. It's for some people, it could be a life or death kind of decision. I was talking with my mother in Peru, and I'll end with this. And she was telling me, you know, I'm a gay male, and she was telling me about some of the things that she hears in Peru. And she said, you know, I've heard different people say, where I'm from, in the countryside or in other places in Peru, where I'm from, we just burn them, we incinerate them, we put them somewhere, and we just throw them.
You mean them, meaning fire. Gay men,
meaning gay people, yeah, gay men. And so she's looking at me and she says, I don't want you to come back. And so again, for some people, it really is a life or death type of situation.
Yeah, yeah. Your very life could be in jeopardy if you go back to Peru as a gay man.
Correct.
Folks, we've got a couple of reasons for you to contact your members of Congress on Capitol Hill, both to stop the repeal of Obamacare and also to pass the DREAM Act and to extend DACA until the DREAM Act comes into effect. 202-224-3121, 202-224-3121. Please, ma'am, please, sir, we're asking you to do that. Pierre, thank you for the work that you do on behalf of victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. Those of us who are citizens intend to stand up for you and others to make sure that you are not sent back to a place where you could be incinerated. Folks, we encourage you to go to dreamers.fwd.us, dreamers.forward.us to also see how you can get involved. My friend, it's a pleasure to meet you, and let's keep in close touch. Good luck with everything, and keep us posted on your particular case as well, okay?
Thank you so much, Mark. And if I can just reiterate that call that you've made for people to call their members of Congress. I was just, as I mentioned, on Capitol Hill last week, and I spoke to the offices of Senator Cornyn from Texas, and they said we have been swamped with a number of calls and emails, and that really is making a difference.
Yeah, it does.
So your voices do matter.
It does, folks. Your voices do matter. They do make a difference. They log those calls and emails. Make them 202-224-3121, dreamers.fwd.us. Pierre, again, pleasure to meet you. Keep the faith, buddy. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Take care now. 866-99-SIRIUS, 866-997-4748. That about wraps us up for today. If all minds are clear, it has been made plain.